And the pizza sitting, I feel like it's so. You sure it's a something? Oh, mine does. Hey world.
Hey Dallas.
I'm Alvin.
And I'm Charles.
And welcome to Tit for Tat.
This
and that. All right. How you doing today, Charles?
I'm good. I'm well rested. I didn't have much to do since you left me. You were gone.
I didn't leave you. I went to Austin with my friends Larry and Dre. We had a good time down there. I just got back a little while ago, I think around 3. I'm a little tired. We did a lot of sightseeing and hanging out, and we went to the Austin Pecan Festival. We did a lot of walking. Yeah, we ate a lot. We did a lot of walking, bought a lot of candy because, you know, I'm sugar-free. And then we did a lot of walking. We probably did about 9 to 10 hours of walking. Wow. You would not have liked it. You would have been complaining. So, you know.
In one day?
In one day. We did that. We did that yesterday.
Well, every time we go somewhere, we're walking. So
I know, but we don't, you know, we don't usually walk about that. We almost continuously walked about that. We went a lot of places. We was down at that Pecan Festival. You know, did a lot of walking around there. So then you went to a party. You went to a birthday party. So you told me that was.
Yeah, it was nice. It was an all-black attire party. It was nice. It was a birthday party. Him and his fiance, husband, whatever. They threw a nice party. It was a nice venue. Hey, Frank, happy birthday. But yeah, it was really nice. And then we went out to another club or whatever. So it was cool. Saw some people I haven't seen in a long time. But yeah, it was real nice.
Okay. So today, I kind of want to talk a little before we get started on our actual topic. It kind of ties into it a little bit. You know, it ties into it. But I want to kind of talk about Jared Carmichael a little bit. You know, we've been watching his reality show, and I want to get your take on it. And anybody out there in the world who's watching or tuning in, you know, get your opinions on if y'all watched this documentary. It's like a comedy sort of documentary that he's doing, reality show, on his I guess on him with him I guess coming out, which he came out a few years ago, but I guess with him coming out and dealing with the ramifications of I guess dealing with his family, his father, his mother, his relationship with his boyfriend Mike that he says he has,
his friends,
and his friends, the different dynamics and stuff he has with that. But then, you know, I kind of want to deal, you know, we can deal with a little bit of it before we move on to our topic. But I kind of want to deal, hey, everybody out there coming in, joining in. Let's see here.
Slick is here.
Hey, Slick. What's going on? Hey, everybody else. And then, so I kind of want to deal with that. I want to deal with the racial, you know, the racial element of it with, you know, first I'll say, you know, I don't have anything against, you know, dating outside of your ethnicity, or race, as we like to call it. I did kind of have an issue though with him not dating the white guy, but you know, some of the actions and the stuff he was saying in his his documentary, whatever this is, reality special, with the race play, you know, and some of the stuff that he said that was directed towards, to me, it seems like it was directed towards Black people, African Americans, you know, directed at as like, it's almost like he's ashamed to be Black. Now, I don't know him, but I can only go off of when I watched his show, and then just some of the stuff he was saying. And I want to get your take, and then Slick and anybody else out there, I would like to get y'all take on that. And if you all want to come in and join us in the chat, I'll put the link up there, and we can get anybody's opinion who would like to join. But before we do that, I'm going to, I'm gonna show.
The clip of him saying.
Yeah, I'm gonna show. Well, I'm gonna show first. I'm gonna show him. I kind of almost hate to show this, but I kind of almost hate to show this, but
it's a point of reference.
Yeah,
because maybe some people haven't seen it.
Right. So here he is sucking this. Now this is not his boyfriend Mike. So, but this is him sucking this guy's toes that he invited over off of Grindr. Mm-hmm. And during this reality show, he was saying a lot in there about how he doesn't really date or have sex with black guys, or whatever. He likes white guys, and he likes to have race play. And he said that he likes sucking the toes, and then it's like being the slave and the master. I have a problem with that, with that. But then all the guys that he invited over from Grindr. I mean, I guess he's not on Jack where a lot of black folks are, but he is on Grindr. And on Grindr, they do make a lot of racial slurs, which they make some in Jack too, but they do make a lot of racial slurs towards blacks, Asians, Hispanics, not all the whites, but a lot of them in there. They'll say that, no blacks, no blacks, no Asians. A lot, they'll say stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I would like to know, why would he get on TV, national TV like this, even though I guess it's reality, but he would get on there and put this boy's feet in his mouth like that. And it just, and he uses the word nigga a lot in his stand-up comedy, and his audience is mainly white. I'd probably say it's probably about 99% white with a few blacks and maybe other ethnicities in there. But why would he get, I mean, it seems like there's a lot of internalized homophobia going on. There's a lot of internalized racism. I think there's colorism going on. I don't know if he's had issues because, he's darker skinned growing up, if he was picked on, or, not chosen, for stuff or whatever because of his pigment, his color, or whatever. But there's just a lot of stuff going on here. And me and you both watched this, so I would like to get your opinion on this, and then some of the stuff he says. But first, I'm going to play. I'm going to share the screen, and I'm going to play Claudia and Al and them, and see, get their, hear their take on. Oops, not that, and get their take. Not that either. And get their take on, and then let everybody out there hear this, and then get you all's take on this, and then we'll get down into it a little bit more, and then we'll get into our.
Gerard Carmichael revealed an interesting fetish that he tends to enjoy with his white boyfriend. Gerard said, "I sometimes joke with him that our relationship is like that of a slave and the master's son who teaches me how to read by candlelight." And he added, "I like that joke. That's my burden. I think that bleeps hilarious." Do you think he's taking it too far? And do you have any controversial fetishes? Al, let's go to you first.
Well, yeah, because I'm the fetish king here. I'm sure I got some controversial fetish, but in this particular, this is why I'm torn here, because I feel like I'm being a hypocrite, because this felt inappropriate to me. It made me very uncomfortable to hear. It feels like a lot of self-hate speech, if you ask me. I really encourage the soulmates to go online and listen to how he told the joke, because he was like, "Oh, master, and I'm gonna serve you real good, master." So it just says to me, Does Jared Carmichael, do you have any Black friends around you on a regular basis that you run your jokes by? Because I can't imagine if he told this joke and how he told it on that stage with all of those in the audience laughing, that they would say that that was okay. To me, like I said, it felt like hate speech, and this could be why his mother is concerned. Now, you know, mothers be knowing stuff. Mothers be knowing stuff about their kids. So this could be concerning. This could be why his mother is not as supportive as people felt she should have been, according to the documentary. But for me, and listen, I believe in role playing. I like fetishes. I don't think there's anything wrong with putting on a costume or two, but this felt inappropriate. It felt uncomfortable, and it felt like self-hate to me.
All right. Armand, what do you think?
I totally agree. I'm never comfortable with this. And we kind of talked about this in one of the other shows about how it is in West Hollywood and how it is with, you know, these white men and Black guys. They treat you like a fetish. And it's not even just being out and about. You can even see it in adult, you know, films. Like it's a thing. Like the way that they edit it, the way that they, you know, curate like the filter on the content. Like it's a thing that really goes deep. And I just feel like this screams like white acceptance. This screams like, hey, I'm the Black guy that's okay with you using the N-word around me. You know what I'm saying? And I can be your freaky boy toy. And I'm Black too, and I'm dark skinned with a Black family, so it's okay. You know, and so that, you know, he feels like he can get invited to parties, and, you know, his status goes up in Hollywood because he's the cool Black guy that doesn't take anything personal. And also he'll let you call him the N-word and let you race bait him, and, you know, and live out all your deep, feedy, pinky fetishes through him. Like, it's really, 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 really sick. And it's unfortunate that Black gay men have to go through this and do this and subject themselves to this kind of, you know, stuff just to get a little bit of a piece of the pie, you know? Like, we barely know who he is, and you're doing all of this.
You know,
disgusting.
I miss the time where people kept inside thoughts inside, and, you know, like there's bring back shame. If you have a fetish where you're the little slave boy and you have your master teaching you how to read and write by the candlelight, maybe you want to keep that to yourself. Yeah. It's not a good look. You look ridiculous. I don't know anything about your comedy, but now I know you are a coon. That's what I know from this story. And now that's what I know you for. And now our viewers who probably don't know much about your comedy will know you for that. Now, I get being edgy because I actually used to do a lot of edgy stuff back in the day with the commentary that I gave, had to tone it down and temper it down as the times changed and we grew. But in 2024, right? In this climate that we're in, where they are literally turning back the hands of time here in America with Black people, with rights, with DEI, and taking Black kids out of classrooms, this is the joke you think is good to tell in a room of mixed company and make slave jokes. If you want your white man to treat you like a slave, fine. Once again, keep it to yourself, because it doesn't make us like you more. And if you think white people like you more now, no, it's kind of like when you get patted on the head. You a good boy. That's what you got just now.
Okay,
So, so what do you think about that? Because me and you both, I watched 6 episodes. How many did you get to?
I'm to the current one.
To the current one also? Yeah. So what do you think about this?
About the whole special in general, or just this?
About what we're talking about him. You know, this. Okay. First, you know, what do you think about dating outside of your race or ethnicity, or, and, you know, have you ever dated outside the race? Your race?
I have never dated outside my race, so I don't have a problem with it. If that's, you know, what you like, that's your cup of tea or whatever. As far as the special, I think, you know, I applaud him for doing it. I don't think we've ever seen it quite done like this, where he's being so open. Especially with his parents. I mean, showing them pictures and all this kind of stuff of stuff, and even with his friends, you know, letting them see, you know, his world and stuff, and even letting the, you know, the audience see his world too, because he's taking us into all kind of stores, and he talked about booty butter or something on one episode, whatever it's called. But yeah. It's interesting to see. I don't really know much about him. other than I think I first heard of Gerard when he hosted, I think it was the Global Awards or something like that. And that was the first time. And it intrigued me because, first of all, I was a black guy. And you don't really see black guys at these award shows. And then he was gay. So I just wanted to see how it would go. And it kind of introduced me to his comedy, because his comedy is more like storytelling and yeah, it's just more like storytelling, and it makes you think. He's very controversial, like he's right on the line or whatever. And this goes with what you're saying about him putting his feet in. I mean, putting the guy's feet in his mouth or whatever. I mean, a lot of people have that fetish or whatever you want to call it, like putting toes in their mouths or whatever. I think I've done it once or twice or whatever.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
I mean, if you have a foot fetish, you have a foot fetish. There's nothing wrong with fetishes.
Right. So yeah, I didn't have a problem with it, whether it was a black person, Mexican person, white person, whatever. I mean, that's your thing, or whatever. I do realize he's a comedian. I do realize comedians are always going to be criticized, because no one's ever going to like all of your jokes. I mean, never. I've never heard anyone, even Monique. Monique was like one of the greatest hosts on, I want to say it was one of the BET award shows. Like she does a marvelous job. I mean, one time she came out as Beyonce or whatever and all this kind of stuff. I mean, she does an awesome job. But do I like all of her jokes? No, I don't. Especially now, because now it's become like this hatred for Tyler Perry and Oprah, like constantly or whatever. But yeah, so the show, I'm enjoying it. I am seeing the hurt that he suffers. We do have a similar upbringing. Me and Gerard, being raised in a Christian home or whatever. But yeah, I find it very interesting. Yeah, some things are just like I'm with Claudia when she said, and it's the only thing I'm with her on, pretty much, is when she said, if that's what you do, you can do it behind closed doors. Everybody doesn't need to know, because now you have all this. Now we're going to discuss it, and I think I'm okay with the discussion. But for me, I'm not about to dissect anybody else's life like this. I really don't care. If you like white men, if you see yourself as master, slave, or what, I don't care. Do you or whatever. But when you put it out in the world, you open yourself up for discussions like this, and that's what we are today. We're going to discuss it or whatever. But I don't care. I think he's a comedian. He does stuff for laughs or whatever. What you may think is funny may not be funny. I don't know him enough to know if this is coming from hurt, if it's coming from, how you were raised. I don't know that. I can see that, and we can discuss that, because those things are true for some people. I don't know if it's true for him, because I don't know him. But, there are signs that say, there probably is some kind of trauma there or whatever. And I'm open to the discussion.
Yeah, I understand. I get the trauma. It seems like he's had a lot of trauma. He's had religious persecution. It seems like he's had religious trauma from his family. There's the homophobic aspect of it that's coming from his family, maybe friends and society. I don't know if that's what really drove him to say he only dates white, only dates like white races or lighter race, like white or Hispanic, or whatever, and you're really not into your own race. I don't have a problem with people dating outside their race, which I can't control that anyway. But I don't have a problem with it. The problem I have is when you date outside your race and you put your own race down and you make racial epithets towards your own, towards your own race, and put us down, and then maybe uplift the other ethnicity that you're dating or getting in a relationship with. That's where I have the problem with that. But
do you think the first episode was a lie? Because the first episode was him saying that he fell in love with his best friend, which is Tyler, the creator, which is black.
No, I don't have a problem. I don't think that he was telling a lie, but he also says in there that he prefers white, over black. He says he has dated black. I don't think the reason that he gave that the reason why he dates black, he only dates white, is because white or Hispanic, whatever. The only reason why he prefers them over his own race is because somebody might recognize him or know his family. That was just an odd statement, to make. It's just my opinion. I believe that, he has internalized racism and homophobia going on within himself due to his darker complexion, which takes us back to the colorism thing, or whatever. And I think that we find out, it's not uncommon in our in the black community for if you're darker skinned, you know what I mean? Sometimes you end up with this whatever, you know what I mean? That you feel people are treating you less than or stigmatizing you or whatever because of your darker skin, or you don't get ahead or you don't get chosen or picked because of that. Sometimes that leads some black men and maybe some women too to choose either lighter skin or white, or prefer that over your own race. But you said you didn't have a problem with him and the race play. You didn't have a problem with that, not sucking the toes or whatever, but you said you don't have a problem with the race play. So
I don't think I really touched on it, but maybe I did. But the only thing I have about the joke is that I think he could have found a better way to present his point. Because when he got on the Breakfast Club, he was basically saying that I chose that joke, meaning that I'm learning a lot from my boyfriend, which is white or whatever. So to make it funny, I chose the master slave thing and saying like, oh, you're my master and you're teaching me this, or you're allowing me to do this or whatever. Which was a better way. You could have just said, it probably wouldn't have been funny, but but I guess, and even that, I don't even think that was really funny. Evidently, a lot of people didn't take it funny or whatever. With comedians, I let them be artists. I let them be their artistic self. Do I like it? I might not like it, but I don't dislike it so much that where I'm like, oh, I'm about to dissect this and turn this down or whatever. I'm just like, okay, that joke wasn't for me, and I move on. This is just one joke out of many or whatever. Now they keep occurring, then I'm like, okay, that's an issue right here. But I just felt like he was just trying to say, I learned a lot from my boyfriend who happens to be white, and for joke's sake, I'm gonna use this master slave thing, which it just came off wrong or whatever. And if that is something that you guys are really into, I don't know. I guess it doesn't help the issue, because it's like, well, you're into this and then you're making jokes about it. There must be a problem there or whatever. But I just took it as a joke. I don't know if he's made more jokes like that or whatever, if it's just been that one or whatever. But yeah, it didn't land well. But when he got on the Breakfast Club and explained it, I was like, okay, so that's what you were trying to say? You should have said it a little bit different. You should have said a little bit better than that. So
yeah, I took it as an insult. I took it as degrading, not only degrading to me, degrading all black folks, but I took it as degrading to him also. He degraded himself. He degraded other black folks with that. He did say that it was a joke, but he also said that they also do practice. They do play that, do race play. I think race play, no matter who's doing it, which I don't have anything against fetishes, but I do race play to me because it takes us back to slavery. And when we were degraded, beat, humiliated, treated less than, not included, separated, and then for a black person, to me, to get up there and to actually play in this game with white people. And I have nothing against white folks because it's all through my family. But I have an issue with this, him doing that. And I do find it insulting. I don't think he should be doing that on national TV. And he shouldn't have got on there, even if he did it for shock value, because it seems like he did it for shock value. But also, there's a lot going on with him in addition to his addictions. There's other stuff going on with, he's got, to me, he's got a lot of narcissism. He's a narcissist also, which has probably grown into him from all the trauma he's been through, and through self-protection mode, trying to protect himself, whatever. He eventually done turned into this, to me, like he's like got a little bit of, he's kind of overt and covert narcissist to me, with all that lying and cheating and stuff, that's in narcissism, narcissistic behavior too, with that lying a lot. And he admitted that he lies all the time, and he admits that he cheats all the time. His boyfriend has accepted, seems like to me, he has accepted the cheating. His boyfriend had an issue with the lying, but I also have an issue with his boyfriend being white. And then he says that his boyfriend doesn't like him talking about the race play, the race stuff or whatever. He doesn't like that, but his boyfriend didn't seem to shut it down in this documentary. If you were so against it, because to me, he's playing along with him. If you were so against it, you would have shut that down, and you would tell him, I don't like this, and I really wouldn't want you to put that in your comedy because that's degrading to black folks, even though he's white. You know what I mean? But also, he uses the word nigger throughout his we watched a couple of his comedy specials. We watched his documentary, and he uses the word nigga throughout it, which a lot of black comedians use the word nigga. So do a lot of rap artists and stuff. They use the word nigga. But do you think when he's performing in front of a mostly white audience, should he be using that word nigga? And then is that like is it a double standard when black people use it in their comedy stand-ups and they're in front of mostly black audiences? So is that a double standard for me to say that they shouldn't, he shouldn't use it in front of a whole white audience, but it's okay for black people to use it in front of an all black audience?
I do want to say this, and Slick has some comments. I do want to say the reason why I did say I agree with Claudia on that one issue is I kind of take it as, and you know what, I have a big issue with these types of movies or whatever, but there's so many. And when they come out with another one, I'll be like, we have to do this again. The slave type movies, when they take us back or whatever. I'm like, there's so many. Roots, and Jamie Foxx has one, and just so many. Oprah's always in one. It's just so many. I'm like, do we have to continue doing this or whatever? But I take it like they're playing a role. They're acting or whatever. I have no problem with that. So with his comedy, I treat it the same. I have no problem with the comedy. The problem comes in, like I said, is when you say you actually do this in real life. I think, like Claudia said, keep that in your bedroom or whatever. But if you're just doing your artwork, just like any other actor that plays a slave, Kunta Kinte or whatever, that's your art. Do that or whatever. But when you co-sign it with saying, I really do this, then yeah, that is kind of an issue or whatever. But hey, to each his own or whatever. I mean. But yeah, it's kind of sad that you even play those type of games, because it's like, who wants to be a slave to anybody? I mean, that wasn't a good thing or whatever. But no, okay. So about the nigga thing, I think you should just be real to who you are. If that's the way you talk, then that you shouldn't change it just because your audience changes. I mean, be you. I mean, that's what the people want to see. That makes the comedy more. I don't know. It goes over better to me if you're being you. We saw in the episode with his friend he went on tour with his friend. I think his name is Jamar or whatever. And his friend was like bombing every night. It's like, 'cause I don't think he was really getting into the essence of what the comedy was or what his style should be. And the only thing I didn't really want, well, it's probably more, but the one that sticks out to me that I didn't like about the episode is it seems like that Gerard was trying to make his style Jamar's style. And that might not be Jamar's style or whatever. Even though you say you're trying to help your friend, because every comedian does not do it the way Gerard does. Every comedian does not do it the way Cat Williams does, or whoever, whatever. So I think Jamar needs to just find his style or whatever. But yeah, I don't think you should change who you are in the essence of whatever. And then they practice these jokes, and if I'm gonna change it, it may not have the same effect. Yeah, I know the word bitch, the word nigga. I mean, it just comes off a little better, especially when you're trying to read somebody or you're trying to put that little punch in. So it may even mess up the joke, which to me, I don't care. I can watch clean comedy all day long. If it's funny, it's funny or whatever. But if you're the ones that want to be more explicit with your comedy, I'm okay with that too. So I don't think it has to change. Just be you, be your authentic self, no matter what the audience is.
For me, I don't think he's funny anyway. I watched his comedy stuff, and then I think I might have chuckled once through all of it. So he's not my brand of comedy anyway. I don't actually think he's most brand for most Black people. That's why he probably has a majority white audience, because I don't see a lot of Black people going to his comedy. And I don't think he would have said that joke in front of, what he calls a joke. I don't think he would have said that joke in an all Black audience. He played to his white audience. And I actually think some of them thought it was cringeworthy too, because I heard some uhs in there when he said that. Because all white people don't like that race play and making those type of jokes and stuff either. The ones in there that laughed, I remember telling you, I said what they did was once they left, they went back and they talked about him really bad, saying, with these type of jokes and stuff. And some of them might have agreed with it and loved it, or whatever, because some of them could be secretly racist and homophobic themselves, or whatever. And some of them, but I think he played into that because he knew that was a white audience. But I don't think he would have got it in a majority Black audience like Cat Williams or some more and all of them and said that type of joke, And I do think that he's bringing all this stuff up as a shock value also because of the hurt and pain that he has experience. Now, Slick says, but this type of stuff always puts Black women and femmes in a precarious predicament because now white boys expect us to go for them, and their racism and entitlement is quick to jump out. What do you think about that comment that Slick said? And she said, and then they said, and there be white women and gays that hate to see Black people dating and loving other Black people, probably because they feel that means less Black men for them to consume. Yes, Slick, I do hear I do hear that, especially among Black women, where they'll say when Black men, when they see a Black man with a white woman or another woman, it's like they feel like it's taking them away from taking the Black man away from the other Black woman, and they feel like there's already so less of Black men to go around in the dating pool or to marry, and then when they're dating white women or Latinos or other ethnicities, that it's taking that away from our own, and then in the gay community too, which we're going to talk about that in a minute here. Blacks that tend to date whites, not all of them, but a lot of Blacks that tend to date whites, they only date whites. They won't even date Black folks. You know what I mean? They rarely even hang around other Black folks. You know what I'm saying? You might every now and then see them, but most of them have, if they're dating white men, very few of them are going to date a Black man. Or whatever. They don't even see us in that same light, and sometimes they lift the white person up higher, give them as a higher standard than the way they see us Black men. And that's not all, because I know some that that date white men and they date all races, which to me that's fine. but to just exclusively date, if you're black and you date white and you only exclusively date white, there's something else there of why you're not, you know what I'm saying, that you only going to date white people. I mean, that's to me, that's not a preference. There's something else underlying under that. I mean, you might not see it that way, but that's the way I see it. And people who I've met in all these years, they tend to have some underlying colorism, something going on within themselves, or self-hate, within themselves about their color or their race, or something has happened to them where they're only drawn to all white people, So what do you think about that?
About what Slick said, as far as white boys are gonna expect us, you have to treat people how you want to be treated. I mean, I wouldn't say that. I mean, he is a popular, and I know people are gonna watch it, and they may think that we're all built like this, but no, ma'am. Charles is totally different. So get to know me. So don't think just because this particular dude does this or there's more that'll do that. But I mean, yeah, I think there is an influence that could possibly be there or what have you. But yeah, you teach people how to treat you. And if a white guy comes to me and he thinks he's gonna get away with, me being a slave or whatever, then he has nothing coming. Because he'll be the one that gets beat.
So that means you'll be participating in the race play.
No, he'll get beat out of my life. It won't even be in a relationship. That's what people in a relationship. And then about the white women and gays. Yeah. I mean, I I don't know why people date. I mean, I can only speak to me. And so the reason why I don't have a lot to say when it comes to a person that decides to only date this and only date that is because I haven't been around a lot of people that date outside their race. I've never dated outside my race. My friends, I don't know if they've done in the past, that's never come up. I guess we could have that talk or whatever. Hey, have you ever did whatever? And we probably have. But currently, the friends that are in my life, what I see them with is always black or whatever. So I don't have those conversations where I only date this, I only date that, as far as race or whatever. And so I don't know. So to me, I just see it as this is what the person likes. I don't go in and say, oh, there's something else there, or there's underlining whatever. I don't even think to do that or whatever. And then probably because the relationship is not there, the communication is not there. But I believe if I had a relationship with someone, then yes, we could probably get to know, how did that come to be or whatever. And not just, this is what I see or whatever, because I can see it and just assume all kind of things. But if I have a relationship, I can see it and we can discuss it, if I think it's something that I, would like to discuss or whatever. And if I did discuss it, I would do it in a, not a way, in a way that wouldn't make them feel bad, just, hey, I just want to know, like, what, whatever.
So so we're gonna come back to this, what you just said, and when we get into the black and white divide, right after this question here. So should we have? Do you think we should have any type of empathy or sympathy for Jared with him doing this shock value, like the stuff he said to his father throughout this, throughout his special? In episode 6, he was dealing with his mother. Episode 4, he was dealing with his father. And he did and said some things in episode 4 that shocked me, that he said that about his father. I'm kind of on the fence. His father was cheating a lot and did a lot of harm and stuff back then. I know it's that time has passed, but his mother has evidently forgiven him, and they're still married. There's, it might have harmed her or hurt her, but they're still together. Mm-hmm. So with him coming out saying all that stuff to his father, and then showing him, which I thought it was inappropriate for him to, when he asked his father, "Do you want to see what my boyfriend Mike looks like?" and instead of him showing him an appropriate picture of his boyfriend, you know, maybe they could have been holding hands or hugging and they had a shirt on and shorts or either whatever they had on, but he showed a picture of his boyfriend to his father in his underwear. You know, nothing on at all except his underwear. To me, I mean, yeah, that was shock value, but to me, that was inappropriate. And that tells me that there's some deep-seated issues going on with him other than just homosexuality, you know, or whatever. He's got, you know, that was some severe narcissistic bullshit right there. You know, and the look on his father's face, regardless of what his father had did in the past and stuff, his mother has evidently accepted it. I know it's hurt Jared, and he hasn't really gotten over it and moved on, but he could have still talked with his father in a different way without, you know, saying some of the, you know, saying all of that stuff like that, and then showing his boyfriend in his underwear. I don't care what relationship you have with your parents. I don't think you would just go and show a picture of, you know, they've never met him or seen him or anything before, and you're going to show him in his underwear.
Right.
I mean, that was there to me. That's he to me. He's almost bordering on psychopath. I'm not a therapist, so I can't really diagnose him. I'm just going off of what I see in his actions of what he's doing and some of the stuff I've been through with when I was, you know, with a narcissist. You know, some of that bullshit. Okay, and I'm seeing a lot of that in him. You know, and I know a lot of people aren't talking about the narcissistic side of it, but that to me, that's there. And then, in addition to his sex addiction, he said he's had more than 1,000 sex partners. And I know a lot of people probably have, but to me, that's a lot. You know, and not to mention all of the different diseases and all the things you can potentially catch from that. You know, I mean, he can be safe putting on a condom and doing all that stuff too, but there's still other stuff you can catch other than HIV or AIDS. Even if you have a condom on, there's other stuff. But that's a lot of sex partners, and he's using those sex partners to cover up his, and he says it, you know, he's using sex to cover up his hurt and pain of the trauma and stuff that has happened to him throughout his life. But where I have a problem with it is when he starts doing harm to other people. You know, if you're going to do harm to yourself, and you know, you got a therapist, he's going through this and stuff, he's trying to work through this, but in the meantime, he's hurt a lot of people, and he said that, you know, he's lied, and he intentionally lies to people, and he likes lying to people, and he thinks people are stupid because they're believing the shit that he's saying. But to you know, but to continuously, should we have sympathy for him or empathy for him? Because he's continuing this pattern of hurting people because he's hurt. So should we forgive all of that and then just say, well, he's been hurt, so let this keep going on? You know, I can understand the empathy. I don't know if I have sympathy for him, but I might have some empathy for the hurt and stuff that he has endured throughout his life. But as this adult person, he needs to stop that. You know, and I think he's trying with the therapy, but he needs to stop that because he's continuing to hurt people. This boyfriend, Mike, stays with him, even though he lied to Mike right in front of the therapist and told him that he's been monogamous these last so whatever months, but he did tell him that he had been cheating, but then he lied right in front of the therapist and in front of the camera people. And they knew that he was lying because the camera people saw all these people from Grindr, white guys coming over one after the other, and him, you know, having sex with them or whatever he's doing with them. But he lied to his partner, Mike, and told him that he was being monogamous at that point. And then when Mike left, he started laughing about it and was like, no, I haven't been monogamous.
Right.
You know, that's to me, that's some evilness going on. And he's crossed that line between what's acceptable and what's almost bordering on psychopath not acceptable with this sex addiction and this lying and all the grandiose that he, you know, how he wants to be perceived in public, you know, how he wants people to see him, but that's not really who he is behind once the door is shut, you know. But I thought I would just say that, you know, should we have empathy or sympathy for him? Do you have any type of empathy or sympathy from what we've seen in his stand-up comedy routines and his reality show? Does that give you any type of sympathy or empathy towards him?
Yeah, I do. I think you should give him whatever you feel to give him. I mean, everybody's different or whatever. Sure, there's things that happened in his past that he's having to deal with. I think one thing that I always have to remember, even watching this, is first he's human. He's gonna make mistakes. We all have. Who doesn't deserve empathy and sympathy? There are things in your life, it may not be to this degree, but you've done things or whatever. You've hurt people, you've hurt yourself. So yeah, I mean, he's no different than anybody else. Another thing is he is a comedian, so some of this stuff, I think, even though it's a reality show, I think you still, at your essence, you're still a comedian as well. So you kind of, have to put some little humor or like some kind of shock value to it or whatever. You think you do. I mean, because HBO just not handing out checks or whatever. It has to be stimulating. That's what people want to see. So it has to be all that. Also, I think, we're seeing just a snapshot of these people's lives. This may not be the final story. We may go on to the end of the episode and find out that all that is, he's totally through with all that. He's delivered or whatever, or he's working towards or whatever. But yeah, I do see where he's hurting himself. I do see where he's hurting others. I hope that does stop. I wish that it does stop. I do like the fact that he is seeking out a therapist and therapy or whatever. He's working through these issues. I hope that he gets the support that he needs, because the trauma that I've seen him gone through, or even if it's self-inflicted, you're not going to be able to do that on your own. You're going to have some support. And like the last episode, the sister-in-law, she was like, you're the one that went away. Your parents were still calling you, whatever. I think he has a support. I think he just has to open that door. It may not be the support that he wants or whatever, because his mama, she's probably going to stand on what she stands on. That ain't changing. But the love is still there. The love and the concern is still there. So walk out your issue and know that we're here or whatever. I may not ever fully, agree with, who you are as being a gay, Black man or whatever. But I'm always going to love you and I'm here or whatever. And if you can just take that and be okay with that for now, that it may change or whatever. So taking all that in consideration for me, yeah, I mean, I give him whatever I choose to give him, whatever I think I can give him. I can give him empathy and sympathy because I can see the brokenness, I can see the hurt, and I can put myself in his shoes because I have been hurt and I've hurt people. Most of the time it was unwillingly, but sometimes I probably was just being a little shady, want to get you back or whatever, and that was wrong or whatever. But yeah, I think whatever you feel in your heart that you want to give him or whatever, give him. And like I said, we haven't seen the final say. I mean, it's not over until your last breath. So that may be him today. He may be someone totally different at the end of this reality show, or at the end of in 20 years or so, or whatever. You may have grown and changed or whatever. So
yeah. So me and my friend Dre, on our way back from Austin today, we talked about it a little bit, and then I also we were talking about it right outside my house when I got home, where as far as like people accepted gays and whatever stuff, and then and what I had said was I don't really care. People, you can have your views, your religious views. You can have your views on homosexuality, what you think about gays or whatever and stuff, like that. The only issue I would have, you don't have to, you can go to church, you can do whatever you want, and you can still say, you can think that it's a sin, or you can think that God doesn't like it, or whatever. That's fine. The only difference I would have if you treated me different from it. So you can have those views, but if you're going to treat me different and discard me or do anything like that, that's where it would be an issue. Hey, I don't care what you think, or what you think about me, or me being gay, or going to hell or whatever, this type of stuff. That's fine, But when you start treating people differently, now you can have those views, but you still treat the person with respect, and you treat them with love and respect and kindness, and you don't have to get up in their face. You're going to hell doing all that. Then you're doing something negative against me when you're doing that. But you can hold your views and or whatever you want. People, we all have our own views on this, that, and other, but it's when we start treating people differently because of that where it becomes an issue and a problem. So now, we're gonna move away from Jared, I guess, and I want to go back to I'm gonna ask you a question because you said you had never dated outside of the Black race, right?
Mhm.
So do you know? Can you give me why have with a whole multitude of all the people out in the world, how come you haven't ventured outside of dating outside of black folks, black men?
For me, I've always been surrounded with Black people. Not to say that I live in a bubble and it's just Black, but I see the white people. I think I've seen some very cute white men. I think they're attractive. Most of them on TV, like the soap operas and stuff like that. Like I think Brad Pitt. I don't know if he looks good now, but back in the day, he looked real cute or whatever. And most of the shows we see on TV, the Prince Charming or whatever, they're always white. So they always have that nice looking white man with the blue eyes or whatever, the hair and all this.
White woman with blonde hair.
Yeah. Well, I ain't looking at the woman, but the man. The man, that's what I'm looking at. The Thor and all that kind of stuff. I mean, they're so they're like, oh, they're attractive or whatever. So yeah, I have no problem with the attraction, the good looks. I mean, if you're good looking, you're good looking. That goes for male and female, white, black, whatever. But I'm not in their spaces. So growing up and going into the S4s, which is a club here or whatever, going to the Woodies, which is a bar here. I'm trying to think, Roundup, which is another bar here. I do, get hit on by other races or whatever, but that's all it was. It was never anything more than that. It was just I got hit on or whatever. Most of those guys in those places are tipsy, they're drunk or whatever. So we're not exchanging numbers. They're just there for the moment, is what I see. I don't think I've ever gotten a number from a person other in my race or
outside of your race.
Outside of my race. And if I did, it probably was one way. They probably thought I was cute. I didn't think they were cute. So even if you gave me your number, I wasn't gonna call you or whatever.
So you said they're hitting on you, like they might be hitting on you or whatever. So is it easier? Is it easier for you if a black guy is hitting on you in the club than it is for a white guy is hitting on you? And they say if you didn't go any further, how do you know that they, or why you didn't offer them your number if they're hitting on you, or sit down and have a conversation with them to see if you wanted to go out on a date or something like that? What kept you? What do you think might have kept you from pursuing something like that? And then but with a black guy or whatever, you may pursue
like
quicker.
Like I said, with the white people, it's just that in the moment. The black people that have approached me, which has been all my life, it's more than just. And let me paint a picture. So I say I'm in a club and it's majority white or white people in there. They're just all on me, dancing on me. They find me attractive. They're on me for the moment. As soon as that song goes off, as soon as they get ready to refill their drinks or whatever, they're gone. It's almost like when we go to the drag bar or drag brunch or whatever, you make a lot of friends because you're all there just to see the drag, the drag queens or whatever, and you're touching and you're kikiing or whatever. But when that's over, you're going your separate way. It was just there for the moment. It wasn't like, we about to start a lifelong friendship. It doesn't go that far with me, with white people or whatever. Even JR's is another bar here or whatever. We can have conversations. Now I did exchange an Instagram page with a guy, but that's all it was. I mean, it never goes any further. And I don't know if for the most part, especially when it's like on the dance floor, it's just because they just was there for the dance. You know what I mean? That's all they were there for. They saw a nice body. They, whatever, they wanted to dance. Every day I was doing something they liked or whatever. And then once that dance is over, we go to
So how do you know then how do you know that when the black guys are hitting on you that it can be more, but when the white guys are hitting on you, it's
so
just nothing? How would you know that?
Let me continue to paint the picture though.
I mean,
So the black people, when they come to me, we go over to the side and we have conversation. We we talk. It's more like, oh, I like the outfit. I like this. Tell me why they're not, like I said, they're there for the moment. It's only there for the dance. It's not with me. It's only there for the dance. It's only there for the drink. And when that's over, they're gone. Black people, to me, we go over to the side and we have conversation. We talk about the things that we have in common. They tell me a little bit more about themselves. I tell them about myself. So it goes further than that or whatever. And maybe that's just me. Maybe you other black people out here, the white people go into all their whole life with you or whatever. But for me, that's all it is. It's just a dance or a drink and that's it. The black people, we go to the side, we talk more. They're flirting, even though the white people flirt too. But like I said, once it's like, I don't know, it may be a fetish for them, of the ones that I dealt with, just to be in a black person's space. But once that fetish is over, they're gone or whatever. And then it may be something in me to just shut them down or like, man, I'm not interested. Please get out of my face.
That's what I'm asking.
You know, and it may be that, but
because when people, like when you're out anywhere, if somebody's flirting with you, whether they're black, white, Asian, Hispanic, whatever, if somebody's flirting with you, whatever, sometimes, you can also not you, but I'm just talking in general. If they're flirting with you, you can also go the next step, with them too, like, and say, oh, and
if it's mutual,
yeah.
And most of the time it's not. So yeah.
So and that's the same way with black folks too. They can be flirting with you, and if it's not mutual and you're not interested, you're not gonna flirt back or do anything, like that. But I'm trying to figure out what is the step that you would take if a white person, if they're flirting with you because they may be interested, or whatever, but but when a black, from what I'm hearing, if a black person's doing it,
not any black.
I didn't say any.
Okay, but I'm just letting you know the difference. So it has to be something mutual. If I see something in the black person, then yeah, it's gonna go further. Maybe one of the reasons why I don't go further with this because I'm not in it.
You don't see anything.
Why I don't see nothing in them. So yeah.
That's what I was asking. So what is it that has made you step outside the race? Because if white people, Hispanics, Asians, or whatever are flirting with you, or whatever, that could be a potential match. You know what I'm saying? A potential match, or maybe a potential date, or maybe it could lead to a relationship. Also, what is excluding? What is there that is excluding?
Well, for me, let me just say this, so we all have an understanding. I'm not in those spaces a lot. I'm very few. I can probably count on my hands how many times I've been in spaces where there are different races. So this is not like this is all the time for me. It's probably been 5 or 6 times. I don't frequent those spaces or whatever. So it's not that the opportunity couldn't happen. It's just that the opportunity probably never arises because I'm not in those spaces. Most of the time I'm in a space with gay people. I'm in a space with other black gays or whatever. So if I was in more spaces and I do have friends that's all they do is go to spaces where there's more of a white crowd, then that may have a possibility of happening.
So why? So that leads me into this. Why are we not in those spaces?
Well, I choose, baby. Okay, first of all, for me, I don't listen to that type of music. Well, some of the type of music they listen to, which is the country, the Taylor Swift, and nothing against this, because I love all music, but that's not the music that I regularly use. So I'm not going to go anywhere that I don't feel like I'm going to have fun. Sometimes even the clubs I go to now, it's out of habit or whatever, because some of the stuff they play, I don't even know that stuff. This new rap and these new singers and all this, some of that stuff, I don't know. But it's really for me just to be with my friends or whatever. But yeah, I'm not in those spaces because they don't, for the most part, they don't cater to what I like. Now, some of them will have a night for us or whatever. And I barely go to those because they normally are during the week. Well, we work. I mean, you have to get up early, you know. So I hate that I like that you're doing that for us, but then I hate that you're putting it during the week. But then on the weekend, you go back to, you know, your techno and all that kind of stuff or whatever. So yeah, that's the reason why, you know, I'm not in those places. Now I'll go to any bar, because, you know, the drinks are gonna be drinks or whatever. But the music, I mean, the atmosphere, just, you know, all that has to be right. I'm not gonna enjoy myself if, you know, if I came to like party and all you playing is, you know.
So do you think that if black, you know, I'm speaking specifically about black folks right now. So on Cedar Springs, you know, Cedar Springs is the gay ghetto, the neighborhood, what they call it, you know, the gay ghetto. So, and it's after all these years, it's still predominantly mostly whites that go up there. They have the restaurants, they have the bars, they have the clubs, you know, even the houses and stuff is, you know, where they done gentrified. It used to be Hispanic and blacks that lived back there. But then now it's, you know, these last years, I mean, quite a few years, you know, it was the gay, you know, like mostly gay white elites, you know, or, you know, with money, you know, or whatever. Some of the you know, some of the other ethnicities have moved away or been driven out. But as far as the neighborhood, as far as the clubs and the restaurants and stuff, those are still owned by you know, by white men, basically white men, and they still don't have a club up there that's right on that strip. With all these clubs, after all these years, there's still not a club that, you know, where black folks could feel comfortable, gay black folks could feel comfortable going and dancing and listening to the type of music we like to listen to, you know, or whatever. Now, when I first came to Dallas, you know, when I first came to Texas, you know, they were discriminating up there against black. Now, for some reason, they always let me in, you know, they always let me in. But I would go in, my friend Deborah, you know, she's black, but then my friend Mark was white and my friend Brian was Hispanic, you know, but they would, you know, they would always let us in. But there's other black folks that I have had my other black friends, and they would not let them in at all. They would, back then they would card and want 3 pieces of ID or more. They wouldn't accept their driver's license. They wouldn't let them in because of the, you know, saying the way they were dressed or whatever. I had been in there where, you know, people had written, when you go to request a song or something, and then if the DJ had played some music, what they considered black, they would, this was, at that time it was called Village Station. It's called S4 now. Before that, it was called Old Plantation. But then they would actually play, if they played some hip hop, you know, or something like that. Rap wasn't really in that well back then, but it is now. But they would play some hip hop or something, and white people would complain. And they would write on the thing, you know, no nigger boo music. Quit playing all that nigger boo music. Quit playing nigger music. And then they would also complain if they thought it was too many black folks coming in there. And then so the clubs, a lot of the clubs around there wouldn't let the blacks in. And they used their ID, you know, saying their ID was not valid, or that's not really you, or doing stuff, you know, like that, not to let them in. You know, I eventually wrote an article on that in the Fort Worth Star-Telegram about the racism and discrimination and the separation of the blacks and the whites, you know, in the DFW area. I did that years ago. But I'm finding because I had not been out there for years, you know, I was in a relationship and raising my son. So I was busy doing that, and I hadn't paid any attention to what was going on out there. And then after me and my first ex had separated, you know, I started, you know, after COVID, you know, me and you and some of my other friends, we started going back out there. You know, you were already out there, but I was going out there, and I'm finding the exact same thing. It's a little bit better, but it's still the same thing. The blacks, you know, there's no black club up there. They're still not letting a lot of the blacks in. You know, they might have a night, like you said. And I'm trying to figure out, why are we still like this? You know, after all these years, why are we still divided where, you know, the blacks have to go on this side of town, you know, sometimes in a low, seedy place of town in order for us to have a night like a club night to go party or do something like this. But the white basically is white gay men. They still have all these clubs up here on Cedar Springs, and I'm hearing that it's nationwide. The clubs are still owned by the whites. They don't have a black club. If they do, they might rent out a night, or whatever, or you designated to this night. The restaurants, they're still owned by the white people. Too many blacks come up here or go in there, they're gonna do something to keep us out, or whatever. And that's what I'm trying to figure out is why are we still here after all this year? Are we mirroring mainstream society as far as with the racism and the homophobia, with the blacks and the whites? Because we do have, we do have the whites with making these slurs and stuff also. Not all of them, because I got white friends. And, I don't know if some of them make it when I'm not around or have been around, but I got some of them who never say, make racial slurs and stuff and, accepting and stuff, like that. I got some, who have never dated a black guy, but they'll date an Asian, they'll date a Hispanic, but for some reason they'll never date a black guy, or whatever. But then we have black guys that will date them, so do you have any type of opinion on that of why we after all these years we still can't have a club up on Cedar Springs or in the area with everybody else, in the neighborhood with everybody else? Why are we clear across town and we only have a night? And sometimes we don't even have that.
I mean, we're still in that area. I mean, as far as like, I always think that Marty's eventually is going to be black owned. I think that guy, even though he's white, I kind of believe he's going to let that go to a black person because he gives DJ Rude Boy so much, space to like, promote and all that or whatever. So I think if anybody changes it, he may. But yeah, you're right. We're still in that same state. I think it boils down, first of all, it boils down to fear. I think for some reason there is a fear there. I don't know what you don't understand or what you don't know or what you think, what you perceive.
Is it fear from black people or fear from white people?
Wow.
Or what? What do you think?
I can tell. I can't tell you. I can tell you what I think it may be based on what we have shown them. I don't know how they feel because white people. I don't know. Some white people probably have grown up with hate towards black people, and you ain't done nothing. It was just put in you, But what we have shown them is, and we're no different than anybody else. But what we have shown them on the nights that they have given us, we fight and we cause a lot of trouble, and we do all this. And even though those are just nights, just like any other people or whatever, give us a pass, just like you give anybody else a pass.
They fight in white folks too. Like they fight. Fight.
Right. Everybody fights or whatever. But I guess for us, it was maybe like a trial or whatever. And during this trial, you've shown us that every time we tried to do this, you guys want to fight or whatever. And maybe our fights get a little bit more violent than theirs. I don't know, whatever. But I do know that that's probably something that we have shown them that probably rubs them the wrong way or whatever. But like I say, everybody fights or whatever. But that's the only thing I can think of other than the fear. So the fear, it could be anything. I just think that that some people are just raised that way to just fear us or whatever. Or I think they already know that we have so much in our culture that they mimic or whatever, and maybe they're scared that we get a piece of the pie, we're going to run them out because everybody's going to be coming to us because they dress like us, they talk like us. I mean, dance like us, try to sing like us or whatever. We are an amazing people, black people, whatever, and they know it or whatever. So I think that's a type of fear as well. I think that, and see, I don't know the ins and outs of, like, we talked about this, and this would lead into, so you can give the people the backstory on this. But for me, growing up in Dallas, born and raised, I wondered that. Why don't we have black clubs or why, whatever. And for me, I just always thought, and if anybody was gonna do it, I always thought it would have been Kirk or PT or somebody just raising up the money or whatever and doing it or whatever. Because those were the older black men when I was coming up that really supported the community and made us feel special and made us feel like this was our own or whatever. But I never saw anything. So in my mind, I'm thinking, well, I guess the black people just don't want to have nothing. Nobody has money. Nobody is able to rent out of space. Nobody is able to yeah, that's my cousin. Hey, cousin. Nobody is able to invest or whatever. I mean, do our money don't amount to anything or whatever? It's like I thought that, but then you told me, and we'll get to that. You can explain about the backstory of why that's been such a hard thing for some of the black people, whatever. But yeah, that was one of the things I thought, like, why don't we have the black clubs? Why isn't anyone doing anything or whatever? I also think that we have made some strides, though. We, like you said, we have the Knights. We even have a black organization here. KKMS, shout out to y'all or whatever, that do try to, do events and stuff for us. But again, they're still leasing out a building or whatever. But I mean, hey, it's a step, thank you. Kudos to that. It's a step. But you even said like on that they have issues with like whatever. So yeah, I don't know why it is. But one of the main things I believe is fear, and then the other thing is the mindset, which fear kind of plays in that too. The mindset is always going to be there that going back to you are the master, we are the slave or whatever. We're always lower than you. We don't own nothing. We don't bring value, even though you're taking our money. That's all we're good for. Other than that, we have no use for you. You have no use in this, in this space, this community, Cedar Springs or whatever. I really wouldn't care what a gay club was or whatever. Most of the places that we do have the Black Knights, they are in nice places. Yeah, I mean, we don't have to go all the way to South Dallas or the ghetto or nothing like that. They're pretty much like nice places. Some of them are holes in the walls, but even some of the white places are holes in the walls too. Like, I won't say that. Say some of them, but yeah, some of them are holes in the walls too or whatever. But I just feel like the mindset is always going to be there. I think once the older generation moves out, and when I say move out, I mean like probably die off or whatever, or maybe leave what they have to the younger generation, it may change, because I see this younger generation is a little bit more accepting or whatever. So hopefully there's change.
Yeah. So racism and homophobia, it mirrors mainstream society. It does, to me, it doesn't matter whether it's whether gays, whether white gays and blacks, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether we've all been oppressed. Okay. Doesn't matter whether we've been oppressed and discriminated against by the larger community at whole. The gay community still mirrors the mainstream community, and that's why we still are in this predicament where we are now, because we still mirror what's happening in mainstream society, and we mirror that and bring that into our own community. So that's where so we're going to have homophobes and racists and of our own people doing the same stuff that's happening out in mainstream. I don't know why why we would do that, because if we're already been oppressed, why we would do that to our own, but it does happen. And the reason what was given back those many years ago, when there was a community, when it was they called a meeting, with the people in the community and the city councils and all that stuff. And the reason that Kevin had given was that we don't discriminate, which is talking points. You know, they had their talking points and stuff. We don't discriminate. We accept all ethnic, racial, sexual, you know, whatever in our, you know, into our clubs and stuff. We don't discriminate. But then in the same breath, you know, they had said that, you know, like I said, blacks, they come in and then they, you know, the clientele that we cater to, we, you know, is a different type of music, you know, and our clientele doesn't like that type of music. Or they say the fighting or the different clothes and stuff, you know, like that. And then they didn't want to run away their white clientele. They didn't mind, you know, running away the black clientele or not letting the blacks in at all, but they did not want to run away their white clientele, you know, because they seen them as more valuable, you know, mirroring, you know, mainstream society, you know, as far as like racism and prejudice and stuff goes. They were mirroring the same stuff that was happening in mainstream into the gay community, and it progressed, and it's been like that, and it's worldwide. It's just not Cedar Springs, you know, or whatever, or Dallas. It's actually worldwide. You hear about this same thing still happening, and
so, you know, when we discussed it earlier last week or whatever, you kept saying, you know, the mainstream or whatever. You know, my answer said was that I never saw a difference. People are just gonna be people regardless. I never saw, like, you know, okay, you have your white, you have your black, and then you have your gay white, and you have your gay black. I just saw people as white and black. I never saw a difference or whatever.
You never saw racism.
I never saw that I wasn't part of the mainstream myself. I never thought that just because I'm gay black that I'm in this thing and then all these other people are in this thing or whatever. If you're gonna be racist, you're gonna be racist, whether you black, I mean, you know, I didn't think that, you know, straight racism was different than gay racism or whatever. I just didn't put that, you know, I don't see it that way. I just think you're gonna be what you're gonna be or whatever. So I get what you're saying, but the mirroring or whatever, I'm just like, people are gonna be people regardless. And just because, and it is a choice, because just because you see the majority doing this don't mean that we have to do it, especially like you say, we're all gay. We've all been discriminated. So why would you discriminate again? You know, make it, even though, you know, you may have some privileges because of your white, you're still gay. So why, being a gay white person, put more restrictions on a black gay person? Like you said, you're continuing the cycle or whatever. Or what? And I you know, I think that's crazy. But I never saw the difference. I was like, if you're racist, you're racist, whether you're gay, straight, whatever. I never, you know, whatever. But yeah, just if anybody had thoughts like me, like, what are they talking about, mainstream or whatever, y'all might have gotten it because y'all smart. But
yeah. So you didn't actually see. So when you would step up in Cedar Springs, and you didn't see a lot of black folks, you didn't like, it didn't dawn on you there's something wrong. Like,
no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying I didn't see just because they are white and they're gay, that they're doing this because white people as a whole are racist. I just thought that whether they gay or not, if they racist, they racist. You know, I didn't see. I mean, I felt what I felt and I saw what I saw, but I didn't go as far as to say, oh, they're doing the same thing that regular white people do. It's just like, you know, they're racist regardless. You know, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So let me ask you about this statement. Do you know, as far as white people and black people go, gay, do you agree with this statement, or what do you think about this? White people don't separate their whiteness from gayness. It's all one and the same with but with black people, it's all one and the same. But with black people, you are black first and everything else follows. So like white people, if they're white and they're gay, then we're just, they're not going around saying, we're white, or whatever. They'll say I'm gay, and then their whiteness is included in it, and whatever privilege and stuff that comes with that. But with black people, we don't say that. We fight for being black first. So, and then if you're gay, then that's something down the line. But first we have to fight for our rights as black people and not our rights for gay people. Yeah. But white people, when they're fighting for their rights, whatever, whatever those rights are, they're going to fight for. It doesn't matter whether they're not going to say, well, we're white, we have to fight for this. They're going to fight for the rights. And if we want these gay rights, we're going to go out there and fight for them. But with black people, we have to fight for our right to be black first, and we have to push being gay. Could that have something to do with it? Also, we don't fight enough, like as white people, they'll get in there and they will protest, and they'll get up there and get these laws passed so they can have gay rights and have these clubs and have all of this stuff, like that. But us blacks, we won't go in there and fight. If it's a black issue, then we will get out there and fight and protest and do whatever. But when it comes to gay, we don't get out there and fight enough, because that's not foremost on our mind, or we shouldn't be fighting like white people do for for acceptance and for the stuff that they want. Even though we're all one big community, we're still separated within this community. But white folks, we're not as visible as they are when it comes to vocalizing what we want. What do you think about that?
I mean, it's definitely there. I think we've been conformed to think like that. There should never have been a separation. The black-white thing, I think, is always going to be there because of them. I mean, of course, we're going to have our own individual race. I can never say I'm white. They can never say they're black. But they did instill in us that one is better than the other. One has this and one has that, or whatever. When I look at that statement, what I think of is the prides. When it's pride across the country, when it's just for, and I don't want to say when it's just for white people, because it's not. We're all able to go. However, most of the times they don't cater to all, right, or whatever. So they'll have a pride, and then we have to come around and have a black pride, or a black this, or a black that, or a black that. So yeah, with us, it is gonna be, we're gonna put our color first and then the gay, because you have conditioned us to be that way. Because we don't fit into your spaces. You don't really include us, and you say you do, but where's the representation? Where are the black drag queens? Where are the black DJs? Where are the black bartenders? Where are the black promoters when you're doing this? Where are the black people at the table when you're having these, town halls, or you're having these discussions on when you're going to create an event or whatever? So we have to have our black prides, our Southwest this, our, urban this, or whatever. So yeah, with us, it shouldn't be that way. But yeah, we lead with black, because that's that's just the way it is.
And I think that if when you go to the parades, like it used to be on Cedar Springs, now it's down down in the fairgrounds sometimes, but it used to be on Cedar Springs. And yeah, there was black and other ethnicities mixed up in there, but it was majority of white, straight, and gay, that were out there. And then in the parade, there's different ethnicities and different groups and different stuff. I don't know if, maybe a lot of black folks don't go sign up for it or whatever, but I wonder what would happen if we did sign up in droves for the Allen Ross Freedom Parade. You know what I'm saying? It's just black folks they come out, maybe they come out, just say like the ones that go out down on premise or something, or the Marty, just say all of them came together and they're going to get a float and they're going to drive their car in there. Would we actually be accepted, or would they cut us off like they do with the clubs and not give us any type of ownership, or no type of, they would only let a few of us in, but we're not letting all of you in, because otherwise we're going to scare away or run away our white clientele. And I think with the parades, it would be the same thing too. We do see us in there, and we'll come and mingle and watch and stuff, but it's still, on the whole, it's still mostly white that's out there. And I do think if we actually came out in droves, we would still get the same treatment that was happening 25, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's still happening now.
Yeah.
Whatever. And then that's why we do have to have Black pride. We haven't not told white people to come, but here's the other thing too. We can have Black events and stuff too, and Black people might go to white events and mingle. There might be enough of us mingling in between there, going to the restaurants, going to the clubs, whatever. But then the whites never come to our stuff. We might see one or two every now and then, but they never come to anything that's all Black. But Black people will go to stuff that's all white, but they won't come to, except for the ones who only date Black. There's some whites that only date Blacks too, where, I find that strange too, where you won't even date other white people. You only want Black people. But, I find any of that kind of strange. But they don't come to our events. They don't come to our, if we did have a club, they would, because Marty's and on premise, when they do, the nights that they would have it, they, it's mostly Black when they come out, but you might see the owner in there who's white, or maybe one other white person or something. We went to some parties before and it was all Black, but one white person showed up. But we can go to white spaces and then there'll be, it might not be a lot, but there's still more of us that go to their stuff than they will come to our stuff.
So two things for me for that. So when they're planning the parades and prides or whatever, who do they go to? Like, of course they're gonna go to the club owners. Like, we need your support. We need this. We need this. We need this. For the Black people, who is that leader? Because I hear what you're saying. Like, and I think that's what we're gonna have to do. We're gonna have to just show up if we know when these meetings are taking place, or whatever. But I don't think we had Kirk, and I don't know if he was invited, because I'm pretty sure they knew of him.
Black people are out there. They just don't seek us out.
Right.
They are out there.
Right. Okay. So what I'm saying is, who is the Black person that they will go to? Like a Black person that has people. Well, you're not just bringing people to the table.
It's not. You sometimes it's a community, or sometimes it's a bunch of people. Usually, it's not one person who owns or one who runs something. It's usually 5, 6, sometimes 10, 20 who all own that company.
So in my mind, when I'm thinking of the parade, I'm thinking that you're reaching out to people that are already on that block. You're reaching out to people that, of course, they have the money or whatever, and these people. But when it comes to the Black people, who do you go to?
They go to city council. They can go to our Black city council people. They can go to Black people in the community who do have stuff going on, who are doing stuff. They can.
Right, but then you name the who. That's what I'm saying.
There's
who is
that
person?
Well, you can look that stuff up. That's what we have Google for. That's why you can look up your city councilman. They can help you with all of the councilwoman, councilman. They can help you with all of that. They can help you get permits and doing all that stuff. They can help bring the community together so we can discuss and talk about it. If they really wanted to include us, the resources, and I'm talking about people, they are the resources. Mm-hmm. They know where to find us if they wanted to do that. And we Black people have also solicited them, and then we were shut down, or they gave excuses or reasons of why we couldn't be in it, or why not, or maybe next time. It's that type of stuff. So it's not like it's not happening. It's just like they're still excluding us. Because Black people solicit for it to be in this or to do this, or to have a permit to have a club up on Cedar Springs, or people do that all the time. They get shut down, and then there's power in places. places. You know, there's powerful people who can help them keep that shut down and to keep us back down here and not up here, so we can all be inclusive.
Okay.
You know, so it's out there. You know,
yeah, I for me, I don't know. Like, okay, you talking about government, so yeah, go to the government, and they probably will not because they don't want us there or whatever. But for me, I don't know just this one name that I can say, oh, this person will be the one that should shift the table and do this, and we, you know, invite us or whatever. The second thing is
it's multiple of them. It's
right.
not just one white person. There's multiple of them.
Right. Yeah, I know that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So the second thing is when the white people do have stuff, they're promoting in big spaces or whatever. When we have stuff, we're not promoting in big spaces. So you're not going to see it. So you're not going to, this to answer you. So this, when you were talking about why we are at their things, and when we have our stuff, there's not a lot of white people. The places where I see the advertisements for our stuff, it's not in a place where a white person would see. I would have to be a friend to a white person and say, hey, my boys are having this over here. You want to come with me or whatever? Come, because like, especially with like DJ Rude Boy, I only see his stuff because I'm in a particular Facebook group. If I wasn't in that group, I would never know what's going on or whatever. But when JRs or Havana's or Lava or Mr. is having something, it's all over Instagram, it's on this, it's on that. So yeah, we're gonna see that or whatever. So yeah, we might hop on over there or whatever. So that's one of the reasons. I mean, there's a lot of reasons, but I'm just saying,
you know, is it because we do want to promote and they don't allow us to, you know? Is it that I don't think that it's not that we don't go up there and, you know, or gather these communities, them together and would like to promote or would like to do that. It's that they shut it down and don't allow us to. I don't think it's that Rude Boy didn't go or this person didn't go or go ask or didn't solicit to do that, that type of stuff. You know, we've been doing that all our lives, you know. And we've been soliciting to be included, to be inclusive, to be there. So it just gets shut down. And then people in powerful places can shut that down so it doesn't go any further than here.
Right.
You know, so Black people are soliciting to do that and stuff, you know, like that. But it gets shut down. It doesn't go anywhere. We even protest too, and you know, and that gets shut down. You know, but you got powerful people in powerful places that doesn't allow it.
Well, that answers your question. And why we're still here, because things are getting shut down. So,
well, I mean, I'm just trying to get your perspective too, because you're out there more than I am, and you know,
no, I'm saying to the people, not just me, but
like, you know, and to the people because they have valuable, you know, information on it and stuff too. But Dre says many white Americans feel gay or straight are raised to think they are a class above non-white people. That's why, you know. And basically that's what we just said here too. You know, they're shutting it down because, you know, they see themselves, you know, and they don't want to bring a lot of Black people in and lose the white clientele. You know, now the other thing is though, when the white people stop coming to their establishments, then they want to start trying to solicit Black folks to come in, more Black folks to come in because they're losing revenue. You know, and like all these years, like on Cedar Springs, you know, a lot of that now. It's becoming like a lot of straight white people are out there now, you know, or whatever. Even the gays are going out there too, but people are doing a whole lot of other stuff. So some of the clubs are not as packed like they used to be. So now they kind of want to solicit. Sometimes they'll solicit the night and say, oh, let's go to Lava and throw a party and then invite all of your Black friends. You know what I'm saying? And then they'll pile in there so they can make that revenue. But before they didn't, you know, when they were getting the revenue from the white folks, they didn't want to include too many of us up there, you know, or anywhere around the United States. Anyway, yeah, I kind of wanted to get your perspective. Let's see what Slick is saying here. I feel like most people accept the ideology ideology of bigotry, no matter who they are. Right.
Yeah.
And the only part of it usually they might change is that part that pertains to them and their identity community. And that's true, whatever. White people, even though they control a lot of the power a lot of the power and money and stuff in the country, they don't want to be treated less than anyway. So even though the community, the mainstream community at home can oppress gay people or whatever, well, white people don't want to be treated whatever. So this gives them a little power too to treat black people, and other minorities and ethnicities, it gives them a little power to be able to treat us the same way and exclude us the same way that mainstream society has excluded all gay people, including white gay people and stuff too. So that gives them a little power to make them think they're a little bit superior, or whatever. And I'm not talking about all, so if this doesn't pertain to you, then it's not you who I'm talking about. White people. I'm not talking about y'all who this doesn't pertain to. I'm talking about the ones where this does pertain to them, even in main society, in the gay society, where homophobia and racism exists amongst our own people, just like it does in mainstream society. We feel the brunt of that, just like if we were straight and we was in the mainstream society and they were in the racism was going on, and that type of stuff. We in our own community, which sometimes straight people don't even realize that gay people discriminate against each other, that gay people have racism and homophobia against each other, and that we have separate clubs, just like if you go out into the mainstream, a lot of the clubs that, it's mostly white people inhabit, or whatever, maybe a few might come in there, but most of the blacks aren't in there, because they're not really going to accept too many of us in there. But we mirror that, we do the same thing there. We exclude in our own community too. Same places like places to live, the whites, a lot of times they'll live in these upscale neighborhoods and they'll gentrify them and do this and do that or whatever. But they're not selling to too many black folks or Hispanics, or whatever. It seems like they'll sell to Asians and stuff, like that. But they're excluding the blacks and the Hispanics. They'll let some of us in, but they control that neighborhood and stuff too, and they live other places and stuff too. But we kind of mirror society.
I like it's coming. It doesn't matter what who you are, whether you're gay, white, or just white, whatever. If you got bigotry, it's gonna come out regardless.
Right.
Whether you're the white or the black, or if you're white gay or black gay, it doesn't matter. If you got bigotry, it's gonna be there. But what you will change, like you say, if it pertains to you, is you can be white. And if it doesn't, but you can be white and a law comes around that it may affect gays, and in gays there's going to be white people, but you got a problem with gays, you're going to go against that, not because of the whiteness, but because of the gayness. So you got bigotry, whether you're the same race, but your bigotry is toward the gay and not so much the white, but it's going to affect the white people because there's white gays as well. So it doesn't matter, who you are. If it's there, it's there. So yeah, I agree with what you said, Slip.
Dre says, not all, but many white privilege cross the gay and straight line. And that's true. That's what we're talking about here. At the end of the day, they are still white. So if they feel they can discriminate and get away with it, they will, and they do. Right. And that's, a white privilege. Some white people don't, we all have some type of privilege, whether we're gay, straight, black, or whatever. Because some men have privilege over women. A lot of times society see men as dominant and have more privilege over women. There's, whites, some of them don't see that they have privilege or whatever. Some of them do see their privilege, but some whites don't see that they have privilege, and they can use that to oppress and suppress other races and stuff, like that too. But we all have some type of privilege, but white people, they will, just like in the gay community, they'll take their privilege and use it against the blacks, black people and other ethnicities, just the same way that they do that happens in mainstream society.
Yeah, because right now, even in that area, there's what Havana was the first Hispanic one, and now they have Lava Lava, which is supposed to be Hispanic or whatever. But we've yet to see an Asian gay place. Of course, we haven't seen a black one or Indian or whatever. So yeah, I mean, it's like they think, you know, they have privilege and they shut it down.
Larry says, I think the problem is that we bring our culture and they do not identify with that. Our culture is dance and dress, etc., etc. Well, our culture is a lot. It encompasses more than just that, which I know what he's saying though, but our culture is very diverse and vibrant. It's a lot to our culture. But they like our culture.
Yeah, they really do.
They like our culture.
They still from it.
They like our culture, which is fine, or whatever. But they like our culture, but they don't,
like us.
But and not all, because but those out there. But they like our culture and dress and dance and all that type of stuff too. But then when it comes to mingling with them socially, too many of us, I don't know if it intimidates them or scare, whatever, or something's bad is going to, whatever they're thinking, or whatever. It's just like in society, just like in society, 75% of white people don't even really come in contact with black people at all unless they're working for them or something, like that. They don't intermingle.
Right.
They might work together and then that's it. And after that, they're not mingling or doing anything together. 75% of the whites, they live out here or live here amongst other whites. And even though most people, you do associate and date and marry and stuff mostly with inside your own ethnicity or race, and stuff, like that. So there's nothing wrong with it, or whatever. We know that most white people are going to mingle and socialize with white people. We know that most black are going to mingle, socialize, Asian, so on. It's going to be like that, and stuff, like that. But I think the harm comes in when we divide ourselves so much that we are separated, with the mingling and living amongst each other and, and enjoying everybody's diverse culture and stuff, because we can bring so much to each other.
And I would say a false perception too. I was watching a video and they had like Black Americans versus like really African Americans, like from Africa, whatever. And one of the girls said that over in Africa, they listen to our music and all this kind of stuff, especially when it's rap or whatever. And a false perception is that, we're all out here killing and, shooting up people and we're doing this and doing that, like the rappers say or whatever. And I think not only do other cultures think that, I think some, I think even over here in America, not other nations or whatever, countries think that. But I think even in our own country, I think some of the white people actually think that about us because they're scared of the unknown or they don't get to know us. So they think we come with that same behavior or attitude that you hear on the rap songs, that we beat our women and that we gonna have guns, and it doesn't help if the fights break out in gun shooting or whatever. That we're like that. So to Dre's point, our culture as far as like the rap part of it or whatever, I think they may not identify with it. They identify with it with those rappers and their lifestyle, but they don't choose to just leave that with them. They put it on all of us. And just because this person has rapped about that and this is what they do, doesn't mean I do it. I could be in a mansion. I know you had a conversation about one of your friends and he invited somebody to the house and he was like, I didn't expect you to live like this. We're not all like, we're not all the same. We all have different experiences or whatever, different. And we've grown up in different environments, and we've had all different kind of experiences. Some of us we've been all across the world. We've seen a lot of things. We know a lot of things. We're educated all this kind of stuff. So to put us in a box and think we're just this one way is wrong or whatever. So
yeah, it's more like there's some. Here's the issue with some white people, you know, that when they have black friends or they have or they're dating blacks, you know, whatever, they find some blacks acceptable, and it depends on how you present to them.
Mhm.
You know, like if you present like this, like you're, you know, like they'll stigmatize, you know, or whatever. They, you know, like, oh, well, you're not like the other blacks.
Yeah.
You know, oh, you're not like those blacks or whatever. So we're going to invite you to the party.
Mhm.
We'll invite you to this, invite you to, because you're not like the other. And then usually that's the one who is usually dating only, the black who is only dating white people.
Yeah.
And sometimes they can take on certain mannerisms of white people, you know, and so white people find that acceptable because you're like us, you know. But if you know, if you're showing your, what you know, stereo, what they call, you know, your blackness or whatever,
Yeah.
that kind of scares them, or they fear that or whatever.
Yeah.
And so you might not get invited to the party or whatever because you're accepted. So if they want to have sex with you and sleep with you, say they're picking you up off of Grindr, or they're, you know, sneaking through Jack where all the black people are, you know, they're sneaking through there, picking up a black guy. They don't want anybody in the public, no other white people or whatever, to know that they slept with a black person, you know, even though they're doing it a lot, but they don't want other, you know, white people to know that they slept with a black person. And they can, just like people can use racial slurs and stuff in public, you know, or whatever, they can use racial slurs too. Like, oh, I wouldn't have sex with them niggers, or I wouldn't date no, you know, I wouldn't have sex with no black guys. And secretly they're doing it, but they don't want anybody to know. But then they also have the ones that they're going to accept in public. Like, you're not like those. We'll invite you to the party, or we might date you, you know, or whatever, because you're acceptable. Or they went over to my friend's house. You know, one of them went over to my friend's house, and he couldn't believe my friend had such a nice house, and he lived like that, and he was educated, you know, and then wanted to come back and have sex with him again or whatever. But that right there to me was a you know what I'm saying? That's like, oh, well, you're acceptable because you're this, you know, you're educated and you got this nice house or whatever. But I wouldn't mess, you know, with the other blacks or something, you know, like that. So that's what I was talking about, that type of issue. And then, so what about, you know, as far as like being homophobic, you know, in general, do you think that black folks, you know, in general are more homophobic towards people in general? You know, like we have more of a homophobia against being gay than white folks do, as far as like, because with our religion and then the whole masculinity thing, you know, black men got to be masculine or over masculine, you know, whatever. And that might also intimidate white people also, because sometimes black men can put on this over masculine, you know, exterior, you know, where they, you know, and white people might get intimidated by that or scared by that, where we wouldn't, but you know, some white people could be intimidated or scared by that.
Angry black man.
The angry black man, yeah, you know, whatever, or they're aggressive, you know, or they're aggressive, or they're big, so you know they're scaring me or whatever.
Yeah.
Or if you come in our neighborhood or whatever, you're scaring us because you're so big or dark, you know, or whatever, and or an aggressive, or you act a certain way. But in our own community, do you think like black people in general, you know, like our parents or relatives and friends, you know, are they more homophobic? You think than whites are?
I think so. I can only go on by what I see because I'm not really around white people like that. But I do seem to see that seem to be a little bit more accepting, like what I've seen on TV or maybe have read or whatever. But black families, like you say, you know, religion, and then that's the worst thing a black man could be is, you know, gay. I mean, you already have one disadvantage. And, you know, some people see as being black, you know, that's a disadvantage. And then you're going to put gay on top of that too. And then you're a man too. So it's like, you know, some people think, you know, see it like that. So yeah, I think that it's more you see it more often in the black communities that they're homophobic.
And is that our perceived bias, or do you think it's really that way, or is that just our perceived bias from the people we're around?
So for me, it's only going to be perceived because I'm not around white people like that to know if that's really their thing. But like I said, I have seen it. I see it more from what I've seen TV or whatever, read, or even, just conversations I've had with other Black people that there is a homophobia there or whatever. I'm not sure how it is in white households, but it seems to me that they're a little bit more accepting. What I've seen, even the stories you see on TV, the white people are like, "Oh, I don't care, I just love you, and you could have told us, and we're cool with that." And they go to Pride with them, and and all this kind of stuff, But with us, you don't really see that a lot. You kind of get shunned, or some even go so far as kick you out the house. So I mean, so I yeah. So from my perception, it seems like it's more in the Black community.
So then with the Pew Research, it says the notion that homophobia is more prevalent in the African American community than the white American community has also been heavily disputed. Data from the Pew Research Center suggests that Black people are only marginally more homophobic than white people. And I know in our community, we do that a lot, where we think, because we're in the community and we see them, and it's like especially with Black men, how they shun away from us a lot, or say certain stuff, or whatever, homophobic remarks or something, or you hear in your families and stuff with the religion, God doesn't, so and so. We see that because we're Black, but on the whole, Black people are no more homophobic than what white people are, So I just thought I would throw that little,
especially here in the Bible Belt, because we're in the Bible Belt, and you're gonna see that on both sides. I want to say that it almost seems to me, I'm only going by perception. Seems to me that white people come to a resolution faster than Black, but I don't know. But yeah, that's really some good information there.
You think they accept their gay kids or whatever, or friends, quicker than Black people do? We hold on to that for a longer period of time before we accept our kids and stuff, like that.
That's what I think, and I may have seen that, or heard it in TV or stories or whatever. It just seems that way, and I don't. And like I said, it could be just that, that Black thing. You're already Black. You're already a man. Now you're gonna put gay on. So it's a lot that they have to, work through before they get the acceptance. White people, I think, because they already come with a certain privilege and kind of like an advantage, or it's, and some of it may even be perceived. Some of it is true. I mean, you can't deny they do have that. They probably think, oh, just because you're gay, that's not going to stop you from. So I think the parents are more, or the people, their community is more willing to, okay, that's fine. We work through that or whatever, because I don't see that stopping you. I don't see that stopping you from doing this, accomplishing that, being that, applying here, having this, driving that, living here, whatever. I don't see that being a problem. But with us, you might as well kill somebody.
Right. I don't understand why we just can't accept that we're all human race. There's no such thing. There is no such thing as a Black race, a white race, a Hispanic race, or whatever. We're all. It's just one. It's really just the human race. I know we do separate where we have ethnicities within inside of the human race, but there really is no such thing as a Black race or a white race. Right. Most of us don't see that because we throw around that race term a lot. I'm Black. I belong to the Black race. I belong to the white race and stuff. But in reality, there is no such thing as a Black race or a white race or an Indian race or so and so. We're ethnicities within inside the human race.
Right.
And there is no superior race. We all have our gifts that we bring, and our talents. and stuff that we bring, and also the stuff that we detract,
Mhm.
you know, or whatever. So, and there's not one that's more superior than the other, you know, even though, you know, people like to think that or whatever. Let's see what Slick says here. Slick says, I think it would be hard for us to tell how homophobic the white community is because those types are also likely racist. That's true too. It usually runs neck and neck too, you know. Not all, but it does kind of, you know, they usually have hardcore in stone views on a whole lot of issues, and they don't like a lot of stuff. You know, a lot of times religion can play into that to me. So it can be difficult to see both at the same time for Black queer folk. We're about to wrap up here. You know, and we talked about the, you know, people tend to identify more with their racial ethnic category rather than their sexual orientation as a main identity, you know, as far as Black folks and stuff go.
Mhm.
You know, but you know, I don't know how to get to that answer of how do we solve, you know, or try to solve this division that we have amongst white, with all ethnicities, but it seems to be more prevalent with the Black and white as far as the gay community go, of how we're divided and stuff, you know, because you'll see more Latinos, you know, or Asians, you know, you'll see more of them intermingling with the white folks in their clubs and bars and restaurants than us. We tend to still be only a few can come in and separate it out. And
to me, it won't change until we all see each other as equals. I don't know if this is a good analogy or not, and you can help me dissect it, but it's almost like at work, or I'll take up. To me, the sports team has always been a good example for me when it comes to, you know, different races and stuff like that. Like, because there's so many different races on like a football team.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you're gonna have your blacks, you're gonna have your whites or whatever, and those guys, from what they show, because I've never been on a football team, so you know, I mean, just in front of half of a little kid or whatever. But it seems like they all get along. It seems like they really love each other. They're in each other's corners, you know, because as good as you are, you know, I'm just as good, because we're all trying to get that trophy, that award, that money, whatever it is, that trip to Disney World or wherever they go or whatever. So it's like they have that one focus, that one goal, and they'll do whatever. Do I get mad at the guy that's showing up to work and not doing his best? Yeah, you know, I'm gonna, you know, kind of like get on you or whatever. I've seen that with like LeBron and all them or whatever. But all in all, they all have that one goal and they all work together, you know. I don't want to take it so far as, you know, the manager is, you know, some people say that's the master and then they the slave or whatever. I'm just talking about how those players, how they all come from different, you know, different environments, different upbringings or whatever, but they come together and they work towards the goal, which is to become the champions that year or whatever. I don't understand why Black gays, white gays can't do that same thing. Come together and just work together and see the potential in all. Those guys have to see the potential. I know that you're good on that 3-point. I know that you're good on the free throw. I know that you're good on the layups. So use your strengths or whatever. We all can bring something to the table. But if you don't see me as bringing anything, if you don't see me as being equal, if you don't see me as you know, being a vital, you know, person to this organization or whatever, then you're always going to count me out. And I think until that happens, it's never, you know, it's not going to change.
Do you have any like final thoughts or anything of on this? Any solutions or you know, anything that can maybe help bridge this gap, this divide between you know, Black and white LGBTQIA community? After all these years, we're still in the same boat. you know.
That was one right there. Just seeing everybody as equal. I mean, we all can come to the table and bring, you know, our talents, our gifts, our ideas, our experiences, our culture, or whatever, and it be allowed. Create a safe space for that. Invite everybody to the table. Put your fears and concerns on it. Address them. I mean, we're all adults here. I mean, you know, if you feel the need, you need to have security in the place. Could you think, you know, we're animals or whatever, which is a misconception. I mean, why do you think we're animals? I mean, drop all that. I mean, you know, I believe we're willing to come to the table. Clearly, we have the money. I mean, you know, Dallas is not, you know, I can only speak for Dallas. I know Atlanta has this thing, and, you know, all these other cities and states, they have their thing or whatever. Because I think there may even be some Black clubs in Atlanta, right? Like it's Bulldogs and stuff like that.
I think it's, I don't know who owns the clubs, you know, but I'm going to go out on a limb, and I could be wrong, because I am a lot of times, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that even in Atlanta, those clubs are probably owned and operated by the white community. You know, somebody, you know, it's like some, you know, just like Cabin here, you know, it could be, you know, I'm going to say that they, you know, that it's either they're either white or some other ethnicity other than Black that probably own. Now I can be wrong. That would be nice if a Black person did own it, you know, or whatever. But there needs to be more.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
There needs to be more.
There's a there, you know, just having one of something. You know, when you have 1,000 and I only get 1 or 2, or you know, or every night of the week, you know, you have this going on because you own these and you have these clubs and stuff and like that. But I might get something once a month, you know, because there's times here in Dallas where when they don't have anything going on for the Black folks at the gay clubs because they couldn't rent out the space, or the owners and them say, well, no, we don't want y'all here no more because you're parking in the white folks neighborhood, and they'll shut down. What was that, OT Tavern? You know, just different. I don't know why that was shut down, but there's different reasons of why they don't want, you know, us there. And I would like to get to us to where, you know, we have more than just one stake in this game. You know, just like everybody, you know, we can have a stake in this. We can have a club here, a restaurant here, this here. We can have buildings and houses and stuff here too, and all of us can get along and whatever, instead of just one,
right?
You know, or none at all. Sometimes we've gone months and months and months, and you have to wait for somebody to have a party in order to mingle and socialize with, you know, with other Black folks or whatever, because they couldn't rent out the space or something. Or from what I understand here, they're constantly looking for a space to rent out because now the owner here doesn't want to rent out to them no more, you know, rent out or whatever. So we have to look for another space. And sometimes it can be in a really harsh part of town, you know, and instead of us being able to get space up on Cedar Springs or wherever we want to have it, on Greenville or wherever we want to have it, you know, we should be included in the picnic with everybody else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And to me, from just looking at it, it just seems like it's, for me, it just seems like it's the gay thing, because and I haven't done the research too, but I know there are places that my straight Black friends go, and it's usually, you know, everything's Black or whatever. I'm not for certain if the places are Black owned. I want to say they are. I mean, we have Black owned restaurants. We have a lot of Black owned stuff here. So to me, I don't see it just being just a Black thing. I do see it though. Okay. But I do see, but I don't see why but to me, since it's not the Black thing, because I don't think it's the Black, because I see a lot of Black stuff. I think it's more the gay thing or whatever, or the area that the gay people want to be in or whatever, because there's a lot of Black stuff here. So, I mean, I'm just thinking out loud, or just thinking or whatever, because I do see Black. I mean, I live in DeSoto, which is a suburb, and there's so many Black businesses there or whatever. I don't know what they had to say, what they had to do or whatever. So it's like, why do the Black straights have all this but the black gays don't. If so, to me, it's like I don't. It's to me, is it just a gay thing that people are having a problem with or whatever?
So I'll disagree with that, because on whole, there's some black businesses, but on the larger scale, there are not a lot of black businesses that are in. And I'll just speak for the Metroplex. There are not a lot of black businesses that are in the Metroplex, and there's even less of them that are owned. They're usually owned by either white people, Asian people, like that. They're the ones, Korean or whatever. Those are the ones who own those businesses, and then sometimes they rent them out to blacks. But usually when you go into those businesses and black people are in there patronizing them, there's a lot of black people going in there buying those products and buying their stuff. But there's actually the Asians or white people who are actually working, who are hiring people to work in there or whatever, but they actually own those businesses. Most black people don't own these businesses, and they find it hard to even rent out the spaces and stuff too, because they're also being overcharged, where a white person could or Asian could rent that space out, but then they're going to rent it out more, make the black person pay more for that same space, or not rent it out to them at all, or give them put stipulations and stuff in there of this is how you have to be or do in order to be in this space, where they would not do that to another white business or Asian business or whatever. But most black people don't own their businesses, unless they're doing them online or something, like that. But as far as in these spaces that you can rent and stuff, they're renting them, and some of them are.
Well, I guess they're lying. I'm saying they're black owned, so I don't know.
They might be. That's their business that they're renting that space and stuff. That's what white people rent out space.
Well, I'm not talking about the space.
But as far as the business, usually, that's not black people. That's not their business. Unless they're doing their own thing on their side, like contracting and or something like that, or they might or whatever. But usually when you go into these black shops, say you went into the places where they sell the hair and the nails and all the beauty products and stuff like that.
I'm talking about black clubs that I see that my straight friends go to. I mean,
no, they don't own those.
Okay, I don't.
No, they don't own those. They can be renting out of space, but usually that's a white person who owns that.
Black restaurants. I know most beauty supply stores are going to be, Chinese or whatever.
Right. But even the black restaurants, they're just renting out.
But at least they have those. My whole thing is they have those places that we don't. So why don't we? That you can go there Monday through Friday or Monday. I mean, they're there every day or whatever, selling or promoting to the black people. So why can they have those spaces, but black gays can't? I just, maybe that's something I need to look at, but it's just funny how you can see a lot of black straight stuff, but you don't see a lot of black gay stuff, because there's a lot of black straight, whether they own it, all I know is you can go there every day of the week, so they might have a day off or whatever, but they're there. They're visible. You can go, you can patronize, you can buy stuff or whatever. But why isn't it like that for black?
Yeah, why don't we own that space? Is what we don't own those spaces. Most of us don't own those spaces. And why don't we own those spaces? Is what I'm saying. You can have a business in there or whatever, because people rent from everybody. White people rent from white people too. But sometimes a lot of white people actually own their own spaces, or they bought those spaces, or whatever through loans and stuff through the bank. I would like for us to kind of get there too, where we own stuff and we're not just renting, where they can put us out or exclude us from here. If we owned it, is what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. And most black people don't own those spaces. Stuff that they're renting out, and the restaurants, the clubs, or anything. Even when you go to the straight clubs, the black people don't own those straight. There's very few that own those straight clubs. And it's usually a white person, Indian or Asian or something, that owns those spaces for them that they're renting out to.
And I would be okay with that. Hopefully you get to the point where you own it. But I'm just saying, like, the opportunity to be able to have a place on a consistent basis and not just we popped up this weekend. We popped up, but something on a consistent basis that we could go to. I mean, you got to start somewhere. I would say, can we at least start there? And then, yeah, let's get into the ownership or start with the ownership or whatever. But it's just funny how you can, you can see this in the black straights, but you don't see it in the black gays.
So what do you think what do you think are some pros or cons for, sexing or dating? When I say sexing, I just mean having sex with, somebody outside your race, outside your ethnicity. Is there any type of pros or, any pros that comes with that, or dating outside your race or getting into a relationship outside your race? Or is there any, what are some cons? Do you have any, you never dated any
Right,
white
so
people?
you should.
I have dated white, and had sex with white, whatever. But so since you haven't, though, what would you think would be some pros or cons for dating outside your race? If you were to date outside your race, what are the positives you think? Is there any positives?
I don't know if I put pros and cons on dating. I just know what I like, and I would have my expectations, and as long as they respect me, and we hear each other, we have that mutual respect. That's all I can go because I mean, you're talking about a person. I don't want to put a whole list on what this person has to show up to me. That'll come in time, but as long as you have the respect or whatever. But once we started dating or whatever, then I may have some concerns or whatever for me. So I don't. Yeah.
What do you think what kind of concerns would you like? Maybe so. Our culture. Okay. Do you think dating a white person? Do you think they understand our culture? I know they're not going to understand it the way we are, but do you think like the issues and stuff that we have, and if we bring up racial issues and stuff, do you think that they would be able to handle that, or would they be able to understand some of those, some of the stuff that we as Black folks go through in the society as whole, just dealing with our racial issues and our homophobia as being of being Black and stuff too? Do you think that they would understand, be able to sympathize with that or understand it? Or would that kind of drive a wedge or something within the relationship? If we started talking about racial issues with them,
So for me, if you're gonna put culture on the table, if for me to put it on the pro side, I guess this person already has an understanding. I'm not gonna block somebody out because you don't know my culture. So I'm not gonna start my list and say it's a pro if you know my culture. That's nice if you do or whatever.
That would be a
so pro. Yeah. But that's not something I would put on my list because I don't care.
What I'm talking about was a con. That wasn't a pro.
Right. But I'm just putting it in so it makes sense to me. So I'm not gonna put that over here. I'm not necessarily gonna put it as a con either, because what I can see that as a learning experience. If you're gonna get to know me, I'm gonna get to know you. I'm not gonna say, oh, because this person doesn't know my culture, that's a con or whatever. That's an opportunity for us to learn and grow or whatever. So that's really not a side that I'm gonna put that on. That's something that's gonna develop over the relationship. But I'm not gonna start out a list and be like, because I'm just shutting down a whole lot of people that to date me, you have to know my culture. Or if you don't know my culture, because everybody can learn. So that wouldn't be.
Okay. All right, folks, we are going to get out of here, and like, share, comment, and subscribe. And we're trying to get up to 1,000 subscribers, so we appreciate it if you would subscribe and like our comment, and comment. Come back and comment, and we'll get back with you in a day or two as we read your comments, and if there's something we can answer. And we really appreciate you all for joining us. Join us next week, where we'll be talking about bisexuality in the Black, lesbian, gay, LGBTQ QIA plus LMNOP community. Join us at 6 p.m. next week and come in and join us live. And thanks for joining us. And leave your comments and stuff, and we'll get back with you.
Bye, y'all. Happy
Bye,
Sunday.
everybody. Bye, world.